Carolina Elizabeth Gonzalez, and today we're going to be going over Peak Direct and data collection. Okay, it is completely different in how you're typically running goals and tracking goals. However, it's a very useful tool if you guys want to be able to use it. Okay, few disclaimers. Okay, are you mandatory to use it? No. Okay, is it better to use it? Sure. Yeah, it definitely is. Okay. Um, and there is flexibility. Okay. So Peak Direct specifically focuses on direct teaching. So it's very similar to how you have been implementing previous VBMAP goals. Okay. So, you go through your airless teaching, you go into mass trials, maybe randomized trials. But it's very, very similar. Okay. Perks is that this actually, once you conduct assessment, this has the curriculum, and you could essentially pull out the goals and implement them like DTT. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you guys a modified version of the data collection, and then also the original data collection that Peak has to offer. The reason why I had switched it was because of the application. I wanted to make sure that the therapist knew what were the program name, the SDs, what targets they were going to implement, because a lot of the kids weren't just implementing one program, they were implementing a lot. So I'll show you guys both, but let's get to it. Okay, so we have here the data sheets. Okay, this is what it looks like. If you guys want access to it, feel free to reach out. We have the scoring form, so essentially what you're prompting versus what your scores are going to be overall. So think about this as your key. And then we have like a Likert scale 0 to 10. Okay, so let me go into each one. So for example, you will mark a 0 if the child, after multiple attempts, and I'm talking about more than 4 different prompts, they are not getting it, you mark a 0. Okay, so after multiple attempts or multiple prompts, maybe 3 or more, but they eventually do engage in independent response, you'll mark a 2. If you prompted only twice, you prompted the behavior twice, you'll mark a 4. And if you only had to prompt one time, you mark an 8. If you presented the SD and there was no prompts involved and child engaged in independent response immediately, then you'll go ahead and mark a 10. Okay, so let me show you the applicable version that has been useful for my practice versus the Peak Direct, okay, and what they recommend. So we have here what I like to use. And for example, it's this essentially white box on top, okay? It has what is the program's name. So today we're going to be practicing tagged and reinforcing items. And it's program number 8J. The SD is what is it? Targets include number 1, phone, number 2, watch, number 3, marker, number 4, colors, what phase they're in. So like what DTT phase. Are you in airless teaching? Are you in randomized teaching? Are you in mass trials? What is it that you and your practice does and your organization does for discrete trial training? Okay. And then schedules of reinforcement. Okay. I put here for this practice FR1, but we all know that we don't want to stick to an FR1 schedule. Okay. So don't go there with me. It's just an FR1 schedule for this practice. Okay. And the rest here, everything that's gray and below, is the Peak version. Okay, so what they have is column number 1 is trial number, so how many trials you have. The stimulus number, so typically because you're running more than one target at a time. In my example, I have 4. And then your overall score, 0 to 10. Okay, so in here, what you want to be able to do is have your therapist pre-fill this before actually getting started with the client, right, or your learner. So for example, let's go and fill this out together. I'm going to put in here 4, 2, 1, 3, 3, 2, 4, 1. Let's do 2 and another 4. All right, random. I try to not make any patterns, okay? So it is at random. Um, okay, so this is what it looks like. So now let's look at what Peak only has, okay? So I'm gonna kind of scroll down a little. This is what they have here. It's just this section where it has a trial, stimulus number, and score. The reason why this didn't work for me was because I didn't know what my behavior technicians were essentially implementing. So it's not working for me. So I definitely recommend something like this, but everyone has their own, cup of tea. Feel free to go ahead and do so. Okay. All right. So next thing is let's get started in actually implementing program, but we're actually going to switch over to a new video.